What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Joe's Baseball Show. Today, I am giving you my final 2021 tier list. So, 2021 has been a long year and a great time for Mario Baseball development. The meta has shifted a pretty decent amount, and I think some of the lower tier characters have kind of started to get a rise a bit, so I'm going to give my opinions on it. But first, to establish credibility on why I think you should listen to me. If you're not familiar with what Dinger City is, first of all, you should check out Dinger City. The link's in the description. We are a competitive Mario Superstar Baseball channel. And speaking of which, I was the most recent World Series champion for Dinger City, as well as a former NetPlay Superstars finalist. I didn't win, but I was close. So that's why I think you should listen to me. And if you don't want to listen to me, don't. I don't care. So, without further ado, let's get into the tier list. I've broken it down into tiers on kind of how I think the draft should happen and which characters I think you should see in every game and which characters you shouldn't see in every game. So we're going to start at the bottom of the list. Honestly, the order of these isn't too important down here because these aren't characters that you're probably going to see anyway. Paragoomba, I think, is just not really a useful character. While they do have some skill in the field with super jump and a good arm and I think pretty decent speed, they just don't really bring anything to the table that you can't find elsewhere to a better extent, plus their bat's not all that great. Monty Mole, he does have one niche in Ball Dash, which is always nice. His bat is pretty long, which is cool, so if you can get comfortable with it, I'm sure you could hit fairly consistent singles. But again, these are just characters that you probably don't need in your team because there's probably a better option or they just don't do enough. Koopa is just, again, one of those characters. He doesn't do enough. He has an okay bat. It has potential. You could technically hit home runs on perfect contact, but you can do that with most characters. He does have a good contact zone, which means that you're more likely to get that perfect contact, which is something to put into consideration. And in the field, he's okay. I think he has a decent arm. Don't quote me on that. And he does have a sliding catch, which is cool. But again, not a character that you're not going to find a better option elsewhere that's going to do something very similar to him. Toad is a character that has a good bat, and that's it. I would never pick Toad for his fielding because he's not considerably fast. He's not all the Toads are the same size except for Red Toad, who is smaller, but I do believe Red Toad is better because he has a longer reach on his bat. So Toad is an interesting character where you only want him for batting, but I think there are enough characters in the game where batting and fielding are good enough on that character that you don't need to pick a character exclusively for batting, unless it's like a niche case, which we will get to later on, because those are good characters. Toad is just okay. Baby Luigi, he fills the role of a wall jumper, so you're going to want him in your right field, or technically left field, depending on who you're playing against. More often than not, it's going to be right field. His bat is worse than Baby Mario's, which is why I don't think you should take him. He is unique in the fact that he's the only 8-speed character in the game. There are a bunch of 7s, there are a couple 9s, but he is the only 8-speed, so that's unique at least. He's just really small, so I think his fielding suffers a bit from that, and when his bat is just basically Toadette's bat, why would you take Baby Luigi instead of Toadette? So, that's something to consider. Moving up to the better options tier, this is kind of a continuation of this bottom tier, but these characters are more viable, and it's understandable why you might want to pick them if you're more comfortable with one of these characters. Starting off with Goomba, a lot of people like trying out Goomba Pitcher. He's basically, in my opinion, a better version of Monty Mole because while his bat may be a little smaller, he does have Ball Dash, which is the main niche that Goomba and Monty are going to fill. Plus, I think his bat, when you make contact, even though it is shorter, he will get more consistent good hits off of it, and he can pitch. Monty is one of the worst pitchers in the game, if not the worst. No, maybe not the worst, but Goomba, he has good mix-ups, and it is, I'm not going to say it's worth learning Goomba Pitcher, but if you already know it, it's a good mix-up that you can use on an opponent that might not be familiar with Goomba Pitcher, and you will have some degree of success with it, but I wouldn't prioritize Goomba by any means. It's a 9th pick at best. And that kind of goes for, I think, all the characters in this tier. They should be your 9th pick no sooner. Next up is Shy Guy. Shy Guy's got a great singles bat. He's very consistent at hitting singles. I don't know what the best color Shy Guy is, so I put red because I do know some people like using red Shy Guy. I believe green Shy Guy is the best pitcher of the bunch if you wanted to try that out as like a relief pitcher. But Shy Guy's pretty much got two things going for him. It's a good bat and Birdo chemistry. So if you need a first baseman for your Birdo team, having that Birdo chem from shortstop to first can really get you a couple extra outs, which is useful. And again, Shy Guy's bat is it's good. It's a good singles bat, but it's not doing too much more for you. It's a similar case to Koopa and Toad, where if you get like really good contact, or you have nice contact with chemistry on base, something like that, you might hit a home run, but I wouldn't bank on it, and you're really just going to be using it for singles unless you're just goofing off or something like that. So Shy Guy, not a bad character by means, but he's not a character that I ever see myself picking, and I don't think many people should. Not going to say never pick him, but it is what it is. Next up is Peach. So right now, this is where I would consider the characters start to become quote-unquote viable again. I don't think you're going to lose a game just because you picked a character below here. Maybe Paragoomba, I don't know. But Peach, she has a role that she fills pretty well, and her bat isn't as bad as it may seem at a glance. She does have a short bat, which holds her back a bit, but her contact zone is good, and if you push the ball, you are able to get fairly consistent singles, as long as you can get it over the infield, which can be RNG to some extent, but it is good to at least try it out. Her biggest thing is that she has super catch or glue hands, which means she will never bobble, which is a good trait for an infielder, because I'm sure if you've ever played Mario Superstar Baseball, you have seen plenty of bobbled infield ground balls that would be outs otherwise that are just not recovered in time. So having those glue hands in the infield is good. Plus, she has quick throw, which is good for turning double plays because it basically removes the entire catch and throw animations. You basically just pass the ball along on a double play ball. She does have a weaker arm. I think she has a 4-power arm, which isn't great, but I do think that quick throw makes up for the difference there, and it is definitely worth trying this character out. Although, again, there is a better option in Daisy, so you probably would rather take her, but there is some merit to Peach with glue hands. Next up is Bowser Jr. He's basically only draftable, in my opinion, if you have Bowser on your team, because there are better characters to fill his role in pretty much, like, there's a variety. Like, you're not going to miss out on a wall jumper if you don't take Bowser Jr. That's his niche. He plays right field. He's a wall jumper. He's good on Bowser teams because you have Chem from right field to first base, which you can steal some outs, and also he has a pretty good singles bat. Sometimes he hits the ball a little too hard, which I personally don't like, but if you're comfortable with his bat, then you could probably get pretty consistent. You put him in maybe the 9-hole and then have Bowser first or second. I prefer second, definitely. I think it's better. And then you can often get Bowser Chem. Not that he needs it, but it's always nice to have. It's cool. He has Chem with Bro as well, who is a great character, a great home run hitter. So having that chemistry for when either Bro is on base or Bowser Jr. is on base, depending on how you construct your lineup, I think that could be very useful for you. Definitely something to consider. I don't think he should ever be a priority, but if you like him and you have the Bowser team and you have Bro, go for it. Try it out. Next up is Baby Mario. He's just a better version of Baby Luigi, but I still think he's worse than Toadette. He does have a better bat than Toadette by a little bit. It's longer, and it has a little bit better trajectory, so definitely worth trying out Baby Mario. Again, he's the kind of character, he's too small. He's the same size as Baby Luigi, and he's a little slower. So when I'm drafting a character like this, I'm picking them for their wall jump and for their speed in the outfield, and I think that there are characters that can either hit better and field almost just as well, or a character such as Toadette, who is just going to be a better fielder in every regard. Actually 100%, there's nothing that makes Baby Mario a better fielder than Toadette. So there's no real reason to take Baby Mario over Toadette, in my opinion, as long as you can get comfortable with Toadette's bat, which is very possible because I've done it. I took her to every game of the World Series and I won, so just take my word for it. Take Toadette over Baby Mario, please. Next up is Dixie Kong, and she's a character that I kind of had between two tiers here. I think that you do have merit for putting Dixie in my next tier up, but I kind of kept her down here because I don't think there's a need for both Dixie and her better counterpart, in my opinion, Diddy Kong. So, yeah, I put her down here. I would totally understand if someone thinks she's better than this, because she is a great pitcher. She's one of the best pitchers in the game, and she has a very good bat. Some people like it more than Diddy. Personally, I do not, for several reasons, which I will get to when we get to Diddy Kong, but she is not a bad character by any means. Picking Dixie as your pitcher is definitely a good option that you could go with. I just don't know if it's my first or second or even third choice. Maybe third choice, but again, you're most likely going to be able to secure the pitcher position without needing Dixie Kong. And if you do need Dixie Kong, take her. She's a very serviceable pitcher. She's honestly one of the best pitchers in the game. And she can do some things in the outfield. She's got a good arm. She's pretty fast. Not a bad character by any means. Honestly, she probably belongs in this tier, so I'm gonna move her up. Next up, Green Drybones. Specifically Green Drybones because he has a 1-star star swing. He is he's an excellent batter. Definitely someone that you want at the plate. He's got good chemistry. His issues are, though, which brings him so far down in my opinion, are that he is slow and he does nothing in the field. Absolutely nothing. I think he's a total liability in the field, and I really, really value characters who have great bats but can also field, and I again think there are enough of those characters that you often will not need to pick Drybones. I very rarely find myself picking Bones, and I don't think he's a bad character. He's got a great singles bat even without using the 1-star star swing. I know a lot of people are kind of unhappy with 1-star star swings lately, and I think that I am trending down on them a bit, but not as severely as other people. I still think they're very good. I just don't like how often you get double played, which is the main complaint about them. But I think that they're the best use of your stars still, and I still think that you should be taking 1-star swingers. I still think they're good characters. I just think that without a fielding position, you could try to hide Bones at left field or maybe center field, something like that. But I do think that you should be drafting characters that just have better hits. So that's my opinion on Drybones. I think he's a good character. I think some people will have him higher, understandably, but I personally don't value him too high. But to each their own, right? Next up, one of my favorite characters in the game, Toadette. Love, love, love Toadette. She is the best right fielder in the game. She has wall jump, she has 9 speed, which is the highest speed in the game, tied with only Yoshi, and she has sliding catch. Now, some people will say that, oh, sliding catch doesn't do anything. Oh, her dive is bad. Her dive isn't bad, honestly, because she's very tall, and height also comes as a factor when you're diving. So her being really tall is definitely relevant. She's a big character, so she's able to be a little bit off the mark and catch balls more effectively, which is the main reason I don't like the babies, because a lot of things will just get past them because they're not big enough and they have very poor dives. So she has a better dive, I believe, and she's a much bigger character, so she gets to a lot of plays that some that only she would make, which are wall jumps, but also plays that only her or Yoshi would make. So I think that it's definitely a good idea to get comfortable with Toadette's bat because she is the best right fielder in the game from a fielding perspective, and you absolutely should be considering this character for your team. And actually, something I didn't mention before, this tier, I called it fill in the blanks because these are characters that you should put on your team as long as basically, you should put them on your team at the end. You want to fill in the holes that you didn't get from your top tier picks, and you want to fill in positions like that because I think they're all viable characters. They all have pretty good bats, and they all field pretty well, except for Drybones. But again, he has a really good bat, so I think that he can fill in one of those holes that you have. Not like that. Next up is going to be Green Noki. Green Noki is, again, another 1-star hitter. Some people are kind of parading Blue Noki lately, notably Matty Ice, because he likes the 7-speed on Blue Noki versus the 6-speed on Green, but Green Noki has the star swing option with the same batting stats, so I personally do not think it's worth taking Blue over Green, but to each their own. Green Noki is a great character because she has a decent slap hit, she has a decent star hit. Her star is, in my opinion, the worst of all the star hitters, the 1-star hitters that have the line drive swing at least. So I don't think you should be taking Green Noki necessarily for her star swing, but she has 2 good things going for her, and one is a good dive, being a good left fielder if you didn't get Yoshi, and the other is Pianta chemistry, which is definitely relevant, and we will get to that later. So those, I think if you have Pianta, you should be trying to take Noki. Otherwise, you could definitely get away with a different pick if you don't have Yoshi. But yeah, I'd say that having Yoshi and Noki isn't bad, but if you don't have Yoshi, Noki's a good place to look, especially if you got Pianta on your team. Again, Noki, an okay character. Nothing to write home about, but, she's pretty good. Next up, though, Waluigi, and I'm actually going to skip over Waluigi and Luigi for 1 second and just go right to Green Paratroopa. So, Green Paratroopa, I think, is the second best of the 1-star swingers after Magikoopa. I'm not counting Toadsworth in that list. Green Paratroopa has good chemistry, the fastest windup from the outfield, a very strong throwing arm, super jump so he can play third base well, and he's a great bunter. Plus, he has, in my opinion, like I said, I think he has the best 1-star swing. I just think he's a worse character than Magikoopa. But I do think he has the best 1-star swing in the game, so I think he is one that you should definitely still be taking. I think Paratroop is a great character. I think he should probably see every game, but I don't think it's guaranteed. So I have him down here, but he is really, really, really a great character. I still think you should be taking Paratroop. I know a lot of people are kind of shitting on him lately, but he is a good character, so definitely take Paratroopa. So, getting into Luigi and Waluigi, I kind of want to group them together with Daisy and Wario because I think they fill similar roles, but one pairing is better than the other. So, with Luigi and Waluigi, they're both characters that can play first base really well, and they're both characters that have okay bats. I think their bats are pretty good. I don't think it's anything to write home about. I think Luigi has a much better star hit, so that's why that gives him an edge over Waluigi. I think Waluigi's a better first baseman because he's bigger. They both have super jump, but Waluigi being taller will cover more area when you jump, so it is definitely a better first base option going with Waluigi. But Luigi has the option to also play right field because he has wall jump and super jump, which is, okay. He has a good dive. He's pretty fast, so he is a good choice to put in your right field. So the fact that he plays both those positions, I think, gives him the slight edge over Waluigi. And I think that his bat is a little better. And plus, he has that star swing. So that's why I give Luigi the edge over Waluigi. But also, looking at Daisy and Wario, I think that Daisy and Wario are these are characters that truly fit the same exact role. They both are going to be a second baseman for you. They both have sliding catch and good dives. Wario's a little wider, so it's easier to catch jumps with him, but Daisy's a little taller, so she might get some higher balls. I think Daisy's slap hit's a little better. Wario technically has home run potential with good chemistry, but you shouldn't be charging with him if you don't have chemistry on base, because otherwise you're pretty much just banking on a perfect hit. I think Wario might have a little better range, but Daisy has quick throw, like I was talking about before with Peach, so I think she turns double plays more frequently than Wario will, even though Wario's arm is a little better than hers. She doesn't have glue hands, which is the one thing that Peach has over Daisy, but again, Daisy better at the plate, so I think that gives her the advantage over Peach. She has a better bat, she's going to get more hits for you, and I think that makes it worth it to take to take Daisy over Peach. And I also think that's a better reason to take Daisy over Wario. I think her batting's better. I like her star hit more. And I think that why I wanted to group these characters together is if you have Waluigi, take Wario. If you have Luigi, take Daisy. Or vice versa, if you have Daisy, take Luigi. If you have Wario, take Waluigi. I think that should dictate what you do. They both have chemistry going to each other. They both make good second to first base combinations. And I think that's what you should really be looking at. It's hard to order characters and tiers exactly like this because, you're picking a lot of characters. So I think you should be focused more on the rest of your team rather than just saying, oh, well, if Daisy's better than Wario, I should take Daisy. But I think that if you have Waluigi or if you want to take Waluigi, then you should be taking Wario because I think that's a better option for you. Again, it comes down to team construction in the end. I think that's a very important thing where you can't just look and say, oh, I'm going to pick the next best character that's available for this position. I think you should look at what your team looks like and maybe consider what other options you have. I think that's a very important thing for you to do when you are building a team. So if you have Luigi or Daisy, pick the other one, and vice versa for the other combination of Wario and Waluigi, do the same thing. Now moving on, the next characters, everything from this point on, I think are characters that should see every single game, no question. First up is Diddy Kong. He's definitely the weakest of this. These are the high tiers in my opinion. I think he's the weakest of them because of his batting, but his pitching really, really, really comes through. I think he's the best pitcher in the game. Not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's fine. A lot of people are going to say it's boo. I totally understand. But I personally like him as a pitcher the most. He has a star swing that's pretty good if you're not hitting against Yoshi. So if you have Yoshi on your team, pretty good pick in Diddy Kong. And plus, people value him pretty low because he is worse than Boo as a character. So if someone takes Boo early, you can usually sit back, pick up some better batters and things like this, and then pick up your pitcher late going Diddy Kong. So I think that's very, very good. He has chemistry with DK, which is very solid. Overall, pretty good character. If you get comfortable with his bat, I think it's actually pretty decent. I personally like it more than Dixie's, but I think Dixie's might be objectively better. But sometimes I feel like Dixie hits it a little too far. So I think Diddy Kong has a really good sweet spot on that hit where you get it right between third and short and it lands right in front of left field and a little bit of no man's land. I think it's a great hit. He's faster than Dixie Kong. He has glue hands, so he can play a good outfield. He's a really good outfielder, so definitely a character that you want to consider. Even if you have a pitcher, I think it's still worth it to take Diddy to fill in an outfield, a center field position, a left field if you don't have Yoshi, and then you kind of stick your opponent with Dixie Kong. And I think they're worse for wear with Dixie than Diddy. So definitely think Diddy's a good pick. I like him a lot. I think he's a character that should be seeing every game. I think that if Boo is on one team, Diddy should be on the other, as long as the opponent can make that happen. Definitely pick Diddy Kong. Next up is Mario. So Mario is a great character. He's got a great star hit. Some people disagree. I think his star hit's really good. But where he really shines is, well, first of all, he's got slap hit potential. His bat's a little short, but he does have a very good contact zone, and when you make contact with Mario, you're usually going to get a single, so definitely a good character in that regard. But some people consider him the best right fielder in the game. I think as a right field character, he's overall the best, and as you can see, I have him the highest out of any character that has wall jump. So that's why I think Mario is I think you could say Mario's the best right fielder, but I do think Toadette plays the position better. I just think that Mario's a better all-around character. That's the Mario Classic. He's an all-arounder, and he really does that well in this game. He has a good star hit. He's got a good slap hit. He plays a great right field with wall jump and sliding catch. He's just a little slow, but he still gets to pretty much everything you could ever ask for, and I think that his wall jump is the most consistent of the wall jumps. I think him and Toadette are tied for that. It's the easiest to see where the ball is going to go and line up Mario with it, and like something like Luigi will seem like he's jumping over the ball a lot, while Mario, it feels like you're always going to be right in that sweet spot. So I think that Mario is, along with Toadette, the most consistent wall jumper. I just think Toadette plays better right field. But Mario, great character. He's a good captain. He's got a mediocre chem, which kind of sucks, but I think he's a great pick. And you can usually get him later in the draft than the other good captains, so he can kind of be like a late captain pick. Or if you have like Donkey Kong and you want to use DK as a heavy instead of your captain, you can put Mario captain and then have both of them. So great choice in Mario. I think Mario is a great character. Definitely seeing every game. Next up, Pianta. Really saw some great movement over the past year or so, and he deserves it. He's, in my opinion, the best second baseman in the game. I think he's better than Wario and Daisy because he has laser, which is, in my opinion, the best ability in the game, because no ability is going to save runs as frequently as laser is, because you can stop people up at third base pretty often. He's got a good dive, a very strong arm with 8 power, which is, I think he has the strongest throwing arm after PD Piranha. So definitely a great character. PM can hit home runs, even without the Noki chemistry. I was saying before, Noki's really good if you have PM, because with chemistry, PM becomes a much bigger home run threat, and as long as you're pulling the ball and you're switching him to a lefty and you're making good contact, you can definitely put him over the fence. He's a little wall jump prone because of his low trajectory, but I definitely think you should be taking PM if you can. I think he's a great backup laser. If you don't get Donkey Kong, you should definitely be taking PM pretty early, because you don't want your opponent to have double laser and you're stuck with either laser on your corners with like Bowser. There are only 4 laser characters in Bowser, Waluigi, Donkey Kong, and Pianta. The reason I didn't talk about Waluigi's laser is because it basically turns his arm from one of the worst arms in the game to a serviceable arm. So, that's pretty good, I guess. But Pianta, really great character. Definitely should prioritize him. One downside is that he has anti with PD, so if you have PD catcher and Pianta at second or short, you can sometimes trigger that anti on the way home with the laser, which kind of sucks, but it's, you know what? It's not the end of the world, honestly. So definitely like Pianta. Next up is Toadsworth. Toadsworth is the best singles hitter in the game. He has the most consistent slap hit. He's got crazy outside reach. His bat really just gets to places where you would never expect it to. So you want Toadsworth on your team if you're looking for a good hitter. His only downfall being he's not a great fielder. You can put him in center field because he's big like the other Toads and Toadette, and he has glue hands, so he's never going to bobble as long as you can get to the ball. His dive is pretty bad, but I think Toadsworth makes for an okay center fielder. But when you have such good batting potential on your team, it doesn't matter. You should be taking Toadsworth every game. If you can get him as like your fourth or probably fifth pick, I would say definitely pick up Toadsworth. Excellent character. So good. Really good character to lead off your lineup because it's a consistent slap hitter. Maybe if you have Bowser, you go Toadsworth Bowser. You get a guy on for Bowser every time. If they pitch, it's a 2-run home run potential. If they walk, you have 2 on for your next guy with no outs. Absolutely should see Toadsworth every game. Now, this next tier, this is where the magic happens, baby. It's just for Magikoopa. I think that Magikoopa is in a unique position where he is better than the characters that I just listed in the should see every game tier, but he's not quite on the tier of the characters above him. So he kind of sits in this middle ground where I think that he is, he's the best third baseman in the game. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You should be taking Maj in your draft if you can get him as a third baseman every single time. If you have King Boo, awesome. Put King Boo at third, put Maj at first. Magikoopa is a black hole on the corners. His magical catch will bring so many things in that he has no business catching. He's a really tall character, so he can jump for basically super jump height because he holds the staff up really high, which is really, really good. Overall, Magikoopa is an incredible character. That's just talking about fielding. Talk about batting. He has a very consistent slap hit if you're pushing the ball and hitting it off the end of his bat. He has a great star hit, which will often land for a single. Sometimes you'll get a double off of it. So batting, he's a great character, but you cannot forget that his fielding is so phenomenal. It's insane. Like I said, a black hole, sucks in every ball that comes by him. It's just, there's no other character that does what Magikoopa does, and that's why I think he deserves this tier, because a lot of the characters from here on up, they have unique niches that make them so strong in this game. And Magikoopa is one of those characters, but I think he just barely misses out on that top tier. But I think he's at least a tier above the characters below him. Some people might think Toadsworth is better. I personally disagree. Some people might think PM is better. I definitely disagree. Magikoopa, must pick character on your team. And now, we're going to move into the top tiers of the game. The top tiers are pretty definitive in my opinion, and I think most people's opinions. These are the top 8 characters in the game. Their order will definitely vary among different lists, but I don't think you'll often see lists where the top 8 are not these 8 characters. So, we're going to start with Birdo. Birdo is arguably, actually I would say Birdo is the best captain in the game. She's got a great chemistry chart, which allows for her to often have 5-star teams. Her egg ball can land for doubles consistently. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a triple off of it. I know you can get double played off the Birdo weird ball, but for 1 star, if you're just ripping them every at bat, you're almost guaranteed to get an extra at base hit every single game. So yeah, Birdo at the plate, an absolute monster. She has a decent slap hit without the star, but if you use her as your captain, having a 1-star swing, when again, she probably has 5 team stars, meaning she begins the game with 5 stars, so you can often have stars to use when Birdo is at the plate. Definitely a great captain, probably the best captain in the game. Even when she's not your captain, say we're doing the Nolan draft where Bowser has to be your captain. Say you have Bowser captain and Birdo on your team, the egg ball is worth 2 stars. Just don't draft too many other 1-star hitters, and just rock with Birdo as if she were your captain, burning 2 stars per swing, and that's okay. Honestly, that's perfectly fine. I think that you should definitely do that if you have the Bowser team. Still try to get Birdo, because the other part, she's a fielder. She is an incredible fielder. Probably the best middle infielder in the game. Maybe second to DK, but they have different strengths. Birdo's range is unrivaled. She catches so many things that no other characters are going to get to. Sometimes Yoshi will catch things that only Birdo can get, so it's just the 2 of them, but she is so incredible at just becoming a massive wall in your infield that if you have Birdo on your team as a fielder, you are at a significant advantage. And to top it off, you have PD chemistry. PD is a great catcher, so you get the chem throw home, which isn't quite as good as laser, but it's definitely strong. If you want to put PD at first, which I don't necessarily think you should do because PD misses a lot of balls at first base being so small, but if you do want to have PD at first, you can go Birdo to PD for chemistry there. Maybe you take Shy Guy, put him on first for the Birdo chemistry. She really, really does so much in the field. You can't understate how much she shuts down so many batters. A lot of the characters with worst bats which, again, you probably won't see too often, but a lot of the characters with worse bats are not able to get anything past Birdo because they just can't hit it hard enough that Birdo's not just going to pick it up. So Birdo is an amazing character. She is definitely a top tier, but I do think she is the lowest out of this group because she may rely a little bit on being a captain. But again, Birdo, she is, first 3 picks potential. She has first 3 picks potential depending on who's playing. I don't want to say that she should be a first 3 pick. I think she should be in that next round, but she will often go before the characters above her until we get to those top 3. So coming up next, we have Boo. Boo is an absolutely incredible character. He is arguably one of the best. He is one of the best pitchers. A lot of people argue that he is the best, and you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. I do think Diddy's better, but I think you can make great points for Boo. He's a better character overall than Diddy as well. However, even though he has this great pitching potential, he doesn't really play anywhere else in the field. So I know this is kind of banking on disaster, but say you do give up 7 runs, because it does happen sometimes. Sometimes you have a really high-scoring game between both players, and you need your backup pitcher. If Boo gets tired, he doesn't have a great place in the field. He can play a corner base because he has super jump, but he's a very small character, so doesn't do too great there. However, at the plate, Boo is a menace. He essentially has a 1-star star swing without having to use a star because he hits it on a curve, because that's a trait that the Boos have. So he'll hit curve hits, and they will land in the corner of the outfield, land fair, and kind of hook into the corner. And usually only Yoshi is going to be able to cut those off. So if they don't have Yoshi, or if you hit it to the other side of the field, you will often get doubles. He has an RBI machine. He can drive people in from second pretty easily. He has chemistry with King Boo, which is awesome. Chemistry with Wario, which is, okay. But yeah, Boo is an excellent character. Should be a high priority in your draft. Again, the characters in this tier you should be drafting before anyone below them, in my opinion. I think that if there's any of these 8 characters still on the board, you have to take one before you take anyone below. I just think that if you're not, you're probably making a bad call. Now, I'm sure there are some niche scenarios. There always are. But I do think that these 8 characters need to go in the first 8 picks of the draft. But yeah, Boo, amazing character, great pitcher. Should definitely be a high priority for pitcher. A lot of people like him a lot. He is fairly easy to use, but very, very strong still. So definitely pick Boo. Next up is Bro. I'm going to specifically talk about Boomerang Bro. For the most part, I will touch on the other 2, but I think that they're all in fairly similar places. I just personally believe that Boomerang is the best. The reason I think Boomerang Bro is the best is because after Bowser, I do believe that he has the best home run potential in the game. I think this goes for all Bros. He has a very high power stat, but Boomerang Bro specifically can hit to both fields. He can hit to both left and right for home runs, while the other Bros, they're pull hitters, so you have to hit it to, if you make them lefty, right field, which you should be making them lefty because right field is closer on Mario Stadium than left field is to home plate, so you'll get more home runs. But Boomerang Bro, he has a serviceable slap hit. He technically has a line drive star hit that you could use, but I wouldn't recommend it. But again, the home run potential is absolutely frightening. He has a pretty good contact zone, and the fact that he has a small bat really gives him a lot of leeway at the plate, so you can kind of swing through more things that other characters might get jammed up on and pop out. The only issue with Boomerang Bro, he does not have a place in the field. You could put him at catcher, but it's not good because he has a pretty weak arm, and you could try to hide him at like first base or center field or something, but I think that at the corner bases and catcher, you can get better characters, and you can have characters that are going to do a good job at playing those positions, while Bro is never going to be a good character at any position you put him in. So that is his one downfall, but the fact that his pitching is so... wow, not that. The fact that his batting is so far above everybody else, or most other characters, I think that he deserves this top 6 spot here. Moving on to King Boo. I know a lot of people will think that Bro is better than King Boo, but I personally disagree. I think if you're comfortable with King Boo, you can hit home runs to both fields with him, similar to Bro. He is a little weaker, so it is a little bit harder to hit the home runs, but I think that a consistent hitter can do it. Plus, I think his hits generally get out faster, so it can be harder to wall jump them, and he has a better slap hit. Technically, he has a star hit. It's a little gimmicky, but it can kind of get good singles, and with chemistry and good contact, you can get a home run with it potentially. I wouldn't bank on it. But something that King Boo has over Bro is that he is a pretty good fielder. In my opinion, the 3rd best corner base player in the in the game. He is after Waluigi and Magikoopa, but I do think he specifically shines at third base because he has a very strong arm compared to those other two characters. He has super jump. He's fairly big, so it's pretty good and easy to make plays with King Boo at third base. So I definitely think you should be taking King Boo early. He's a great threat at the plate, and he's an excellent corner baseman. Should absolutely be a priority in your draft. Now, moving on to Yoshi. Yoshi's an excellent character. He is a bit of an anomaly in this game because he has the best range in the field that any character could wish for, because he has 9 speed, which only one other character has. He has his tongue catch, which is, I believe, the longest dive in the game. It's not really a dive. He kind of, sticks his tongue out, but it will make some of the most insane plays that you've ever seen in your life. You'll want to throw up after playing against Yoshi in any position. Infield, outfield, he definitely shines more in left field than he does in the infield. But if you put him in the infield because maybe you really screwed up and didn't get any other infielders, he is going to be an absolute menace for your opponent. Yoshi is a great fielder, cannot be understated. His only downside, I guess, is that he bobbles a lot, but so do the other speed characters, so I would not even count that as an issue because he can often recover from those bobbles using tongue catch. So Yoshi, absolutely a top 4 character, but we still have to talk about his batting. Yoshi's singles bat, very consistent. He can very consistently get a single. You put it right over the infield and drop it in front of the outfielders. Good, consistent singles hitter. He has a star hit that is pretty good. It can often land for a single. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get really good bounces on the egg ball, and you might manage to get a double, even a triple sometimes, but that's pretty rare if your opponent is playing properly. But yeah, Yoshi's star hit is pretty good. His slap hit's very good. He's not going to hit home runs for you, so that's one downside, I guess. But having 9 speed on the bases makes it so that he can score from first base on certain hits, and he can score from second on a lot of things. Being 9 speed means that he can consistently steal. He can steal against any character pitching and catching consistently, except for the Boo, Petey, Battery. I don't think that you can necessarily steal against that, even with perfect steals. Maybe Diddy, Petey as well. Not really entirely sure. But an absolute menace at the plate and in the field. Almost gets a top 3 spot, but I don't think that he quite deserves it. And we're going to move on to the top 3. So these top 3, in my opinion, are undoubtedly the best characters in the game. I don't think that there should be characters picked in the first 3 picks of the draft that aren't one of these 3. I think it should always be these 3. I think that maybe there's a scenario where you don't like Petey, so you take Bro or something like that, but I really think that you should be taking these 3 characters in your first 3 picks. We're going to start off with Petey. I do think Petey is the number 3 out of these 3 characters. He is undisputably the best catcher in the game because he has the only 100 strength or 10 strength. I've been doing it in different intervals, but it's either, it's 1 through 10 or 10 through 100. So he has the highest power you can have for a throwing arm in the game, meaning that he is the only character that can catch perfect steals from 9-speed characters consistently, and he can do it consistently, trust me. He is an absolute threat at the plate because he has incredible power, and if you make good contact and pull the ball with him, he will be ripping home runs like it's no one's business. He absolutely crushes them. It's very hard to wall jump Petey's home runs because they're very high up, and he has good chemistry. He's got chemistry with Birdo, which is excellent. He has chemistry with DK, which is excellent. Chemistry with King Boo, which is excellent. He's got so many good things going for him. He has a big hitbox at the plate. He's very wide, so you can often kind of walk into inside pitches and get a free base if you want it. If you don't want to try to go for the home run, he can slap hit. If you push his slap hit to the left side of the field, if you have him if you hit him to the left side of the field, he has a very good slap hit. It's similar to DK's. You can get pretty consistent with it if you practice enough. Petey, absolute menace. He is going to destroy the ball every time you make contact with it. As long as you get that sweet spot, it's probably gone. Often, if you do get sweet spot contact and pull the ball with Petey, it's going to be a home run. I would say 95 out of 100 times. Sometimes you get unlucky. Sometimes you're a little late and it goes too much to right center. But you'll be putting balls over the right field wall like it's nobody's business. Petey, absolutely unrivaled character as catcher. So yeah, great character. And now for the top 2. I honestly had trouble deciding who I thought was a better character, which is kind of crazy to think because Bowser has been the undisputed best character by pretty much everybody for a long time. And this is the first time that I considered maybe DK gets the edge, but I don't think so. I think that Bowser's still the best character. So let's talk about Donkey Kong first. Donkey Kong is so freaking good at this game, man. He is so good in this game. Let's see, what does DK do? It's probably easier to list things that DK doesn't do. He doesn't pitch. That's it. Can DK play the middle infield? Yes, he's probably the best middle infielder in the game, maybe tied with Birdo. Why? He has one of the longest dives in the game. He has a huge hitbox. He has a strong arm, so you can put him at shortstop and get plays at first. He has laser, like I said before, one of the best abilities in the game. Awesome, DK is great, but what does he do at the plate? Oh, well, he only has one of the best slap hits in the game. If you hit it to opposite field, you can get very consistent singles. He can hit home runs, you know, he is a power hitter, so that's always something else. Oh, and did I mention that he has one of, if not the best star hits in the game? In DK Banana Ball, it is the most consistent star hit out of all the captains, in my opinion. It will often land for doubles almost every time. I feel like it lands for doubles. Yoshi will often score from first if you have him on your team, so you can kind of go Yoshi DK as a 1-2 punch, and you can get that guaranteed run almost every time as long as you make good contact with DK. Really, really great character. DK does so many things. He has great chemistry, so if you have him as your captain, you'll often have a lot of team stars, and he is just an all-around threat. He's going to save so many runs, not only because he has laser, but also because he has that insane dive range in the middle infield. And plus, he has a great jump, like I said before. Donkey Kong should be either your first or second draft pick, depending on if, well, the first or second draft pick overall, depending on if you're going first or second. I think that the first person's probably taking Bowser every time. DK PD, easy, without fail. If the first person takes DK, they can still go they go Bowser PD. That should probably be your picks every time. I could see Bowser Bro, but DK, such an amazing character, an absolute all-star in Mario Baseball. I think that he has potential to be that best character if things continue to trend how they are right now, and I will get into that briefly, but I think that for now, he's going to keep that number 2 spot after Bowser. So Bowser, the reason that I was considering moving him down is because nowadays, just walk him. Like, yes, you might argue, okay, a consistent walk every time you have this batter up, that's really good. That's like a guy who gets a single every time. Why wouldn't you want that? Well, you wouldn't want that because you're not taking Bowser to be Toadsworth. You're taking Bowser to be Bowser. You want him to put balls over the fence. We used to say Bowser wins games, and he still does, but if you pitch to Bowser, he's probably putting one over. He's going to hit a home run. It's very, very easy. It's baby mode hitting home runs with Bowser, which is why you're better off just walking him. Bases loaded, walk Bowser, pitch to the next guy. Honestly, the best move. Because Bowser, if you walk him every time, he's just another guy. He's just a dude that you walked. He's an okay fielder, and he is a singles hitter at that point, but he can't even advance runners more than one base. So I think that's why Bowser's trending down a bit, because people have learned that why shouldn't I just walk Bowser, you know? It's easy. It's free. It's sometimes might cost me a run, but I think it's worth it in the grand scheme, and I think that might get DK the edge over Bowser, personally. But Bowser's still Bowser. He still has that incredible bat. People are still going to pitch to him. He is a great fielder. He is, I know I called him kind of mediocre before, but he honestly is great. He's a great corner baseman because he's huge. He has a decent trigger range on his dive, so he can dive for a lot of stuff. He has laser and a very strong arm, so he can play both catcher and a corner base. So he plays multiple positions. He's the best hitter in the game as long as he's getting pitched to, but that doesn't often happen. Bowser's still Bowser. You guys know him. If you're not familiar with Mario Baseball and you just watch this whole tier list, this is what I think the meta should look like. This is what I think the team should look like. You know, these top 8, 9, 13 characters should be in every single game. And then after that, kind of fill in your blanks with these the next tier characters. I really like this list. I'm very happy with this tier list. Tyler, if you're watching this, sorry that my list has changed again since I submitted it to you. If you guys watch this whole video, I really, really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, you like the video. I like putting out Mario Baseball content. I'm going to be playing some more Mario Baseball on this channel. And I do have a series of guides coming out soon. I know I talked about it a bit. I wanted them to be out by now, or at least the first one to be out by now. But holidays happened. Speaking of holidays, it's New Year's Eve for me. It's New Year's Day for you if you're watching this the day it comes out. So Happy New Year. Hope you guys all had a great time watching the video. Hope you have a great time playing Mario Baseball in this coming year, and I hope to see you guys on the channel soon. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.